You don't have to interact with the Kingdom Hearts fandom for long before you'll see a negative comment made towards the Disney world of Deep Jungle. Typically, the comment will involve some measure of loathing for the world, particularly the level design, and may even feature one or two expletives to really get the message across. To give some anonymous examples, here's some quotes from a Discord server that I'm in. For me, seeing these comments was strange because I have long held Deep Jungle as my favourite Disney world in the series. Due to this, I've decided to record a little video about why I love the world and look at the reasons most seem to take the opposite stance. This was originally an essay kind of thing that I wrote, but I've turned it into a video so that more people can see what I'm talking about and perhaps understand where I'm coming from. The most important thing to do is to figure out why people dislike this world in the first place. I see a list of pain points that crop up repeatedly, so I'm going to address each of these in turn. These points are the area simply named Vines and Vines 2, the area called Hippo Lagoon, the final boss fight against Clayton and the Stealth Sneak Heartless, and the repeated act of travelling up and down the world for story purposes. The common issue here seems to be people getting lost. Even though it isn't a complex area, the vines all hang lazily, not really indicating which way they're going to swing you, and it can be hard to judge the layout when everything is green. I expect many people will end up swinging to the side platforms and miss the vine that actually leads onwards. I know I did a few times back in the PS2 days. Also, the vines can be fallen off, which will land you in previous areas and just increase the frustration. I won't act like this area is some pinnacle of level design, but I do have to give it points for having a movement mechanic that isn't just walk or quick run to the next loading screen. It's also fulfilling a fantasy of vine swinging from Tarzan, and making you feel like a part of the Disney movie is something that should always be at the centre of these Kingdom Hearts worlds. That said, the mechanics aren't all that smooth, but for a 2002 game, I'm glad they tried to put something interesting in. As far as getting lost goes, Monstro and Hollow Bastion's lift stops are way more confusing than this set of vines are. I can't say I have recollections of getting lost in this area, though as I said I certainly got turned around a few times. To me though, this is a good thing, and I'll explain a little later why. The other main area that people seem to take issue with, this is a platforming section that tests your Kingdom Hearts 1 platforming skills. Many people struggled with this area on the first playthrough. The hippos have a really small surface area to land on, and the ones that rise and sink have to be timed correctly. Of course, you can choose to avoid this area entirely, but in doing so you must face the vines instead. This area has caused thousands of collective hours of frustration for Kingdom Hearts players. I can only imagine what a mix of every single sigh made when Sora hits the water sounds like. Again, I had my fair share of trouble here back when I was a kid. I'm not pretending I was some Kingdom Hearts 1 platforming god. So how come I don't have the level of resentment that others still cling on to? Again, this is something I think I can explain in the next section.
Clayton!
Not Clayton! Not Clayton!
That right there is a phrase that anyone who struggled with this boss fight in the original non-skippable cutscene version of this game is sure to remember well. Yes, I'm one of them. As with...
Forget it! There's no way you're taking Harry's heart!
It's embedded in my brain by now. When I and surely many others were younger, we struggled with this boss, perhaps because we were too focused on wailing away at the Stealth Sneak or Clayton, and not actually watching out for the former's eye laser attacks, surely the main killer here, though Clayton does enjoy his cheap shots. Looking back now, it's not a badly designed boss at all in my opinion, I just sucked at it as a kid. I don't think there's really much to honestly criticise here, apart from Clayton's aforementioned cheap shots, but even they are avoidable. Certainly, I find it a better boss than Cerberus of a similar level range. I won't try and defend this, to be honest. It's annoying even to this day. When you're good at either the vines or the lagoon, it becomes far smoother, and I suppose the silver lining is that it gives you ample practice in those areas. The actual act of traversing these areas multiple times can still be pretty tiresome though. As I've shown, it's clear that some parts of this world are commonly held issues for people, and that many struggled as kids or even adults playing through it for the first time. For some, these memories cause the knee-jerk reaction to be, ugh, Deep Jungle. The way I see it, these frustrations gave us lasting memories, strong enough to elicit a reaction, which to me is better than something being boring and forgettable. In other words, the frustrations are a good thing. Let's start with getting lost or turned around. This forced us to learn the world and spend time in it. It meant that we actually had non-combat challenge and we weren't just running through an empty set of corridors and battle arenas. There's a feeling of satisfaction, for me at least, of getting to grips with an area in a game and knowing it like the back of your hand, especially when you don't have a map to fall on. I know not everyone sees it this way. For some, that satisfaction was not had. This is fine, of course, but it will lead me on to another point. The platforming, mainly in the Hippo Lagoon, but I'm sure other areas cause problems for people too. I suppose much of the problem for people is that you can fall down into the water or into another area, making the platform more of a chore. Personally though, this is also a good thing. Platforming without punishment for failure might as well not exist, and the punishment here really isn't that bad at all, and in my opinion, neither is the platforming. I truly feel people are too quick to criticise the level design of Deep Jungle, when the issue actually comes down to the platforming mechanics of the game. Sora's baseline jump especially. Yes, maybe the hippos are a bit nasty with their small surface area, but other than that I see no real bad design here. Let's face it, most of us on our first playthrough of this game weren't good at it, or at least not good at the platforming. The game rightly punished us for this and forced us to become good, one hippo water filth drenched Sora at a time. See, when people express their frustrations I can understand, but it's when they call Deep Jungle badly designed that I take issue. I think it's designed very well. It honestly confuses me that Deep Jungle is so panned by people for its level design, when I believe it has the best level design of any Disney world in Kingdom Hearts 1. First, let's look at the interconnectivity of it all. A strength also with Kingdom Hearts 1 worlds in general. Despite having small rooms, they connect to each other in a logical and satisfying way. When you need to go to the treehouse, you truly feel like you're climbing up the jungle canopy. From there you can jump off the netting and use the jungle slider to reach the base camp once more. Most room transitions give you an idea of the terrain of the room ahead, and you don't feel like there was any long unseen travel time. This is the case for most of the worlds in this game. Deep Jungle is just a prime example of this. Now I want to briefly speak of each area of the world. Let's start with what is, in my opinion, the best room, the treehouse. Wandering up the ramp, you can choose to explore the netting and grab a chest for your efforts, or you can explore the house itself. One neat detail is that you can either walk in the front entrance, or jump through a window for a shortcut. Inside there's this ramp that seems hard to reach without the high jump upgrade. But what's this? A barrel placed on the outside ledge can be brought over to assist you. World interactivity, everyone. Around the back of the treehouse is a long ladder. Jumping over to this and climbing it will reward you with a chest, and more importantly a view that I still love to this day. Despite the aged graphics, it makes the world feel so expansive. You can then jump through a hole to the beams or right down to the base floor of the treehouse. But while you're at the roof, why not use a little trick to get to that hanging boat chest early without using glide? Simply jump and keep pressing attack and you can reach this reward. This room has so much going for it, I just find it a joy to roam around in every time I replay the game. Beyond the treehouse is a dense jungle room littered with black flowers and a big hanging fruit named Climbing Trees. During the fight, all you have to do is smack away the fruit to free Jane. The flowers aren't even necessary, but it's nice that you can use magic on them to open them up. It's a little detail. I like the dense, claustrophobic feel of this room and how deep the jungle really feels. The treetop room is just, well, it's a room. It's a small circular area with the Trinity. I admit there's no way for me to spin this into a positive, it's just simply an extra room transition. The tunnel is similar to the Climbing Trees in how it feels. It hosts the only save point in the upper area too. The main feature here is the start of the jungle slider. I quite like that it looks dangerous from the outset. Certainly jumping into a tree trunk from this high up can't be the safest idea. Let's quickly divert to talk about the jungle slider minigame. Personally, this is my favourite minigame in Cage 1. I think it's got a great concept. You either use it as a means of direct traversal, or you collect the fruits to open up new areas, which will lead you to different rooms once you reach the ground. And you can collect some prizes too. The differing environments are also a nice touch, especially like the waterfall area at the end. Sure, mechanically it has a few issues. Tarzan can get in the way, the floor sometimes likes to try and pull you in a certain direction, making you fight with the controls. Also, there's a bit of trial and error needed when you're first playing, since the fruits can be placed in really tricky spots. Despite these, the actual thrill of sliding down past giant trees, through hazardous caves and under beautiful waterfalls never gets old to me. I already spoke of the vines in the Hippo Lagoon rooms, so I'm just going to add a few points. The vine's main strength is again a sense of scale. Even with KH1's flat looking backgrounds, I'd say it does a decent job of making the jungle feel vast. As for the lagoon, the optional platforming to grab some chests is fun, and you can utilise the aforementioned jump and attack trick to skip the last hippo. As for the campsite, it has so many small details and little gameplay mechanics in it. First of all, collecting the slides requires some simple platforming, using the game mechanics to extend a short story's playtime. This is classic Kingdom Hearts 1 design. Then there's the two interactive elements. You can turn a potion into a high potion by cooking it in the stove after hunting down the recipe cards you need. You do this by interacting with objects in the field, a fantastic use of a world room. The same goes for the experiment to turn a potion into 2 ethers using your ice magic. Little moments of interactivity like this are honestly what makes the world design for me in this game. Not to mention all the fun details here and there, the spinning globe, the incorrectly drawn Union flag, and the Beauty and the Beast reference with the tea set, as seen in the Tarzan movie. The last set of areas include the bamboo thicket and the cliff. The thicket has a nice mechanic where Sabor can jump out of the bamboo to pounce on you during the fight here. The cliff seems strangely named at first, like where's the cliff? But then the stealth sneak breaks the rocks, giving you a view over a lake that I love. The changing of this area is an interesting way to expand the world, and it crops up again in both this game and even Kingdom Hearts 2. Finally, we have the Waterfall Cavern and the Cavern of Hearts. They're incredibly atmospheric, especially given the thundering sound of rushing water and the appearance of the misty vapour spraying off the wall of water. I've always loved Kingdom Hearts 1's sound design and the attention to detail. Of course, the remaster has improved the looks of these areas, including in the overview of the lake, but the original feel is still preserved. And let's not forget that the final platforming challenge the waterfall area offers, with multiple ways to reach the top and optional chests to find. Oh, and this is unrelated to level design, but the music in this world is absolutely brilliant. I hope I've managed to explain why I regard this world as my favourite Disney world in the entire series. I know it's unlikely I can convert people into loving it as I do, but at least my reasoning is now fully spoken. I personally believe that Deep Jungle has kind of become a meme, like many of the other infamous Kingdom Hearts memes. Shion Who, Donald doesn't heal me, Terra is dumb, for example. I think the idea that Deep Jungle is bad or painful to play through is so deeply ingrained in the collective Kingdom Hearts fandom consciousness that people can't really see past it and perhaps didn't even truly gain these thoughts from their own experiences. It's like the opposite of rose-tinted glasses. But just as with Donald's supposed poor ability to heal, I firmly believe that Deep Jungle being bad couldn't be further from the truth. Thanks for watching and have a good one.